On a quiet street of neat lawns and matching mailboxes, one house stood out, not for its color but for the groceries. Every Tuesday, a delivery van would drop off bags of fresh food at number 24 Maple Street. No one ever came to the door. The bags from the previous week remained, untouched, beside a growing pile of newspapers and mail. The house was silent, its curtains always drawn, the lawn just slightly overgrown. At first, neighbors barely noticed. Maybe the owner was busy, unwell, or just preferred privacy. But as the weeks passed, the unclaimed groceries became a quiet monument to an absence no one acknowledged. People slowed their cars to look, wondering, who was paying for all this food? Why was it never brought inside? The house became a story, a quiet drama unfolding in plain sight. Yet for a year, no one stepped forward to find out how the story ended. The silence of the house was matched by the silence of the community. The weekly delivery was the only sign of life, a steady pulse in an otherwise still place. The groceries, bright against the muted house, were both mundane and mysterious. The house existed in a state of suspended animation, neither lived in nor abandoned. It simply was. The repetition, the slow accumulation of unclaimed goods, painted an unsettling picture. The house on Maple Street was no longer just a house. It was a puzzle, waiting for someone to notice the missing pieces. The community watched, but no one acted. The story waited for someone to turn the page. Maple Street looked like the perfect neighborhood, well-kept homes, friendly waves, and a sense of peace. On the surface, it was connected. People knew each other's names, maybe attended the same block party. But beneath the friendliness was a strong, unspoken rule. Privacy. You didn't ask personal questions or show up unannounced. The space between houses was more than physical. It was emotional. You could live next to someone for years and know little more than their name. The neighborhood felt safe because everyone seemed to be watching, but no one was truly looking. People noticed the grocery deliveries at number 24, but didn't connect the dots. The assumption was always that things were fine, because they were supposed to be. To suggest otherwise would be impolite, even intrusive. So everyone noticed, but no one acted. The result, a community of individuals living side by side, but not together. Connections were thin, based on greetings, not real relationships. In this environment, it was easy for someone to slip through the cracks. The closed doors of Maple Street symbolized the closed-off nature of the community. Safety and privacy became a double-edged sword. Every Tuesday, an online order was processed at the local grocery store for number 24 Maple Street. The list was always the same: milk, bread, fruit, a few essentials, enough for one. Payment was automatic, the account always funded. Delivery drivers paid for speed, left the bags on the porch, snapped a photo, and moved on. Contactless delivery was the norm. Curiosity was not part of the job. Some drivers noticed the pile of old bags, but it wasn't their place to ask questions. For them, it was just another stop. The system worked perfectly. Payment processed, delivery made, digital records flawless. No one needed to know if there was a person behind the door. The weekly ritual became a shield, hiding the truth in plain sight. Efficiency replaced connection. The house became a data point, not a home. The tragedy was invisible, hidden by the convenience of automation. The neighbors weren't unkind. They were following the unwritten rules of suburban life. When the first grocery bags appeared, they made excuses: out of town, sick, a simple mistake. These explanations were comforting and required no action. Everyone assumed someone closer, a family member, a friend, was aware. As months passed, the growing pile became a shared denial. The overflowing mailbox was an undeniable sign, but the fear of overstepping was stronger. It's not my place, people thought. I don't want to get involved. The bystander effect took hold. Everyone assumed someone else would act. Each person, seeing others do nothing, concluded that doing nothing was correct. The problem became part of the landscape, a strange feature everyone noticed but no one addressed. The reluctance to intervene was rooted in respect for privacy, a value that became a barrier to compassion. The community's politeness created a blind spot. The very thing that made the neighborhood feel safe allowed a person to disappear. Everyone waited for someone else to be the real neighbor. Silence became the neighborhood's answer. For over a year, the system ran on autopilot, until Marcus, a new delivery driver, arrived. He saw not just a few old bags, but a mountain of them, rotting food and yellowed newspapers. Unlike others, Marcus felt a knot of concern. He thought of his own grandmother, alone in another state. Instead of just leaving the groceries, he called the delivery app's support line. He explained the situation, the unclaimed deliveries, the neglected porch. "I'm worried about the person inside," he said. The representative, caught off guard, advised him to contact local authorities for a welfare check. Marcus's simple, human question, "Is this person okay?" broke through the automated system. It was the first real intervention in over a year. One person chose to see a human, not just a delivery address. The system had no protocol for this, but Marcus's concern made a difference. The call set a chain of events in motion. A small step, but the first toward unraveling the mystery. Sometimes, all it takes is one person to notice. The silence was finally broken. The story of Maple Street began to change. Police arrived for a welfare check, seeing the same troubling scene Marcus had described. No answer at the door, silence inside. They forced entry, fearing a medical emergency. The house was tidy, frozen in time. A paused TV, an open book, a clean kitchen. In the bedroom, they found Eleanor Vance, deceased in her bed. She had passed away peacefully, unnoticed for nearly a year. Eleanor was 81, a widow with no children, her few relatives far away. She had set up automated grocery deliveries and bill payments to make life easier. Her systems worked so well, her absence went undetected. The coroner estimated she'd been gone for almost a year. Her life continued digitally, bills paid, groceries ordered, while the world outside never noticed. The discovery sent a quiet shockwave through the neighborhood. The house was no longer a mystery. It was a memorial to a life overlooked. The community faced a difficult truth. Their respect for privacy had contributed to Eleanor's invisible final year. Eleanor Vance's story is a quiet tragedy, but not a unique one. Many women, especially as they age, outlive partners and become isolated. Once the center of family and community, they can fade into the background as social circles shrink. Society often renders older women invisible, their lives overlooked in a world that prizes youth and busyness. Independence, once a source of pride, can become a wall-hiding vulnerability. Many women of Eleanor's generation were taught not to ask for help, to handle problems quietly. This stoicism can be dangerous in old age. A reluctance to be a bother keeps warning signs hidden. Eleanor was organized and private, arranging her life so she wouldn't be a burden. In doing so, she created a system that erased her from view. Each part of the system worked as intended, but the whole was profound isolation. She became a ghost in her own life, a silent testament to how easily society can overlook those who once held it together. Her story is a warning and a call to notice the invisible. Modern life runs on convenience. Automated deliveries, online banking, services at our fingertips. For many, especially the elderly, these systems are a lifeline, enabling independence. But convenience is impersonal. Algorithms don't notice loneliness or distress. As we automate, we lose human touchpoints. The bank teller, the grocery clerk, the mail carrier. Each lost interaction was once a thread in our social fabric. Automation creates the risk that people can disappear behind digital efficiency. Eleanor's life looked perfect on paper. Accounts active, orders consistent. The digital version of her was alive and well, creating a false sense of security. The tragedy was not a failure of technology, but of human connection. Our pursuit of frictionless living has removed the very friction that can save a life. The awkward conversation, the friendly question, These are moments where community happens. As we embrace convenience, we must remember what we risk losing, the act of seeing each other. Human observation is irreplaceable. The story of the house with endless grocery deliveries is about connection, not technology. We can't automate compassion or outsource our humanity. The tragedy on Maple Street was a failure of human connection. We can learn from this by rebuilding small, everyday connections. It doesn't require grand gestures. Know your neighbors' names, notice when routines change, ask if someone is okay. A simple question can be a lifeline. We must pay special attention to those most at risk of becoming invisible. The elderly, the quiet, the alone. Challenge the reluctance to get involved. Better a moment of awkwardness than a preventable tragedy. Create check-in systems, offer help, transform streets into communities. Let Eleanor Vance's memory be a promise. To look closer, to listen more carefully, to act. Notice the unclaimed newspapers. Question the untouched deliveries. Break the silence. In an automated world, a neighbor's concern is a radical act of community. It's how we ensure no one else disappears in plain sight. The story ends with a choice: to see, to care, to connect.